Hey guys, welcome to the Shift Roundtable Talks, yet another exciting set of conversation that I'm going to have with my panelists today. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment on the topic that we're going to be discussing today. And there's a link below that is the topic where you can go and read more on what we are going to be discussing. Allow me, friends, to give an opportunity to my fellow panelists to introduce themselves to you. I'll start over there with Mr. Junior. Please introduce yourself, sir.
The name is Junior Mapuma. I'm a shifter.
Hey guys, I'm Shanae. I'm a shifter.
Hi, I'm the African shifter, Munya.
Hey guys, I'm Lishman. I'm a shifter.
All right, thank you so much, friends. Now, welcome, friends, to another set of the Round Table Talks. It is good to have you around again. And today we are discussing one exciting topic. And I'm quite sure it's going to build up a lot of interest amongst even ourselves. And we are discussing black tax.
Yeah.
Black tax. And before we go any further, Junior Mapuma, what comes to your mind when you hear the term black tax?
What comes to mind, black tax is the pressure, so to say, the expectation, the burden that's associated with maybe someone who's working from the family where they come from, or maybe from the extended or the immediate family to assist them.
All right.
Black tax.
Okay. Mr. Lishman, do you mind to give us possibly a book definition of what black tax is?
Okay, I have something here. It says black tax is a term that is used to describe black people, black young people, who have to share their earnings or income, either with their extended families or their immediate family members, while trying to balance their own expenses.
So we are here to deal with a bit of sharing one's income with the family, parents and relatives,
Yes.
while at the same time you also need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, then somebody decided to coin it black tax. Shanae, help us out. What are the origins of the term? Because for me, when I was growing up, I never used to hear this term, you know. I don't know if you guys heard it. No, it's actually, I think, a term that, we began to pick later on. So, Shanae, help us out with the origins of the term.
Well, it's fairly new, but it's meant to describe how black people on the continent and off the continent feel with regards to taking care of their parents and their relatives. Yeah.
Okay, so we're saying it's a term that someone brought in to try and describe something that has to do with how we black young people have been dealing with the issues of money when it comes to supporting our families and the extended family. Maybe before we go any further in discussing the issue, so that we unlock the term black tax, I'm going to give a chance to Pastor Munya to give us, to say, cultural, is this something that existed, or is it something that exists? Help us so we can be able to understand.
Thank you so much, Pastor Brian. And some terms are new. Terms may be new, but the concept may be running in a certain culture. If you look at the African culture, for instance, there are some two terms. One in Izandla, which says umuntu ngabantu.
Oh yeah.
And in Shona it would say munu. This one does not have any English equivalent or definition. From ages past, the young have had this obligation to take care of their parents or the elderly. That is what forms a community within the African culture. When you are able, you have to look after those who are not yet able, who are no longer able, because there's a certain statement also which says, Chirere mangwana chigokurera, which would mean you have to take, when an elderly takes care of you today, then tomorrow you have to give back to the community that brought you up. So there's the concept of interdependence, not only in finances alone, but in everything that has been in the African culture, or also in other cultures around the world. Talk of the Hebrew culture, the Jewish culture, the Islamic culture, the Hindu culture. There's the concept of interdepending, but mostly those who are able, they have to take care of those who are no longer able to take care of themselves.
Okay, so we are addressing a concept that has always existed in our culture, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not just, the term might be foreign,
Yes.
black tax as it is, but the concept has always been there. For instance, Pastor Munya gave us the Shona saying, the one that says Chirere Chigokurera, or in Ndebele we have one that say Ukuzala Yikuzimbela, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
That when you have a child, you're already saying, I've prepared my future. Someone is going to take care of me tomorrow. And we also have one interesting one in Debele. I'll translate it to English. It says, Izandla, ziyagezana. What? One hand washes another. Oh, hands wash they wash each other, isn't it? So, but guys, this is something that has been there.
Yes.
But because it has been there does not mean it is entirely right.
Right.
It should continue being
Yeah,
there.
and it should continue being there. And because it has been there does not mean it is also entirely wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what I want us to talk about now. Now that we now know what we are talking about, Junior Mapuma, what do you think about this thing called black tax?
Okay, I'll begin with the connotation. The moment you say black tax, no one likes to be taxed
Yeah.
to start with. So it's more like as a black person, you're growing up in a world which already has got stereotypes, and you're a black person and you're on the other side of the line to start with. Then you're being taxed in a way from the expectations from the family. And the fact that when you're a child and parents give birth to you, they expect something in future, not all the time, but most of the time they expect something. I don't think that's right in a way.
Maybe can I hold you there?
Right.
You are saying most of the times they expect, is it not all the times, Lishman? Is it not all the times that parents, because they raised you, they were, so is it not all the times that they expect you to take care of them when they are not able to take care of themselves?
Okay, like you were saying, I'll add on to the cultural aspect of it. As black people, most of our parents, they actually expect us all the time to be doing something or to be paying part of the bills or
Please emphasize that.
yeah,
The all the time part, yeah.
yeah, they do expect that we should be doing something. What then becomes a disadvantage is that they then don't think about our own personal experiences. They just expect that we should be doing something for them because they've raised us, we've been raised by them, and they think we should sort of appreciate, but they expect it though.
Okay. Shani, what are your thoughts on that?
Aren't there well-off parents though? I think there are well-off parents who don't expect
What on the thing?
anything. They actually prepare their children's future, and then they're actually the ones who are buying their children cars when they're going to
Now.
school. I mean, to work and things. So maybe this is a poor man's mentality.
Okay. So we have a portion of young people that are suffering from this black tax,
I
Yeah.
think
and then another portion of young people that are not facing that challenge. Oh, okay. Pastor Munya, what are your thoughts when it comes to this?
You see, Pastor Brian, this issue is taxing, it's debilitating, it sometimes brings you down. You see, you're trying to earn a living, and you're trying to make sure your finances are properly arranged. But the issue of black tax is not just it's not just confined within an immediate family whereby there is you, your mother, and your father, but it also extends to the extended family. The expectations are so high. You're trying to make sure you run a project, and then you receive a call from your brother, and he's saying, my wife and my kids, they need some school fees and likes, and as soon as you try to buy yourself new clothes, and your uncle of yours is also calling, and as soon as you're trying to do this, your friends, your peers, they are making it big in life. They are buying cars, but you can't even afford to buy yourself pat shoes. Pat shoes. These are the biblical shoes, the most shoes. You can't even manage that because every time you try to do something, then a call comes, someone comes, your uncle from Kumusha comes, and is depending on you.
Now that you have mentioned that, I just received a WhatsApp message before we got on set that one of my relatives who is in South Africa wants money to come back home. She's been there for the past, I think, 4 years or so. Now I'm the man, I'm the father currently, so I need to be able to make sure that happens. Shanae, is it right or wrong for your family to expect money from you because you work?
I think it's probably sometimes it's the children's fault. I'm answering your question somehow.
All right. Okay.
Because I think that when we make it, we want to, or when we kind of make it, we fake it and say that I've made it, I'm making a lot of money. So of course they're going to expect lots of money. But if we're humble and told and made it clear that we're not actually there yet, they won't expect much. 1. 2, sometimes I think it's also our fault that we don't manage our finances right. you have 5 siblings and 2 parents in the village, but you want to go and stay in uptown flats that are going
Okay.
for 60% your salary. How is that going to make any sense? But to answer your question, is it right? I'm not sure. I don't want to say yes, I don't want to say no, because
Okay.
I've got mixed feelings.
Okay, all right.
Dr. Brian, sorry, before let me cut you
Yeah,
off. Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? In Africa,
Mhm.
you are young and there are the elderly around you.
Right.
You become a father when you are young because you are in a financially stable position. If you're a girl, then you become a mother of the whole clan. That is the whole issue surrounding the black tax issue.
Okay.
Junior Mapumo, you wanted to say something?
I like to say there are basically 2 sides to the black tax coin. There is the side which might be a hindrance, as you were saying. Your friends are buying cars. You're at the same age, you're earning the same amount of money, but you're not, because they're expenses that have always been there. So on that side, it might be a hindrance. On the other side, it might be an honor, based on the concept of Ubuntu again. You can't enjoy success, whatever little success you might have, when your parents on the other side are suffering, or maybe those were your relatives. So there are 2 sides to it. It's not a problem, so to say. It becomes a problem when it's now an expectation or an obligation. To say that out of every little money that I have, I'm now supposed to take something or pay it back, or it's an expectation for me to pay it back, like I asked to be born, something like that.
Lishman, you're okay. All right, all right. Yeah, yeah.
Just to respond to that.
Mhm.
Should children have children pay for their parents' lack of planning? Because we have 2 able-bodied people, right? And when they decide they want to have 10 children, they knew very well that they're living in Zim, right? And then besides living in Zim, things go haywire in any country that you're living in. And then they fail to plan for how they're going to take care of their children. They fail to plan for their after working period time. They are the ones who don't know how to manage their own finances. Should the children be the ones to pay for those sins?
So I think I'll throw that to
Yeah,
Lishman.
yeah.
But as it is also coming to you, bearing in mind what she just said, I want you to also respond, considering the fact that we have some young people who are not actually facing the same challenge.
Right.
Because you went to school together, you had NAS, right?
Yes.
And you studied the same degree, but when you got married, the parents bought them a house, they gave them a car, and where they are, they were already starting 10 steps ahead of you. But you need to be bankrolling back home again, and putting in some cash and putting in some money and all those things. So do we come back and begin to blame that they were not, they didn't plan well, when you actually were the one they were planning for? You are where you are today because of them. So how did they not plan well when you are where you are because they did a bit of planning?
Okay, let me try to respond to what she just said. I think sometimes it's not that they did not plan for us. They were also caught up in the cycle of being black text, perhaps.
Okay.
Because it's sort of a cycle that is there in our settings, that when they were also young like we are, they were also expected to be paying something back at home at the time when they were supposed to be developing themselves. And you find that at the time when we were now going to school, as an example, they could not even manage to take us to school because they had not saved for it before, just because they were in this cycle as well. That's what I think.
I think it's a black mentality, though. Okay, a majority black mentality thing that we fail to family plan. You'll find that we have a lot of couples who get married before they are ready. Maybe they are still in school, or they've just finished college, and then somebody gets pregnant, and then they're already starting a family. No one has planned for the next 5 years. You find in other cultures, people, before they even have a child, they have money saved that they want their child to go to Twin Rivers. They want to make sure that their child goes to UCT. That money is already being planned before the child is born. Whilst we don't even plan for the Pampers before the child is born.
All right, okay, this is getting a bit tricky and deep, but I think I have a few questions for you guys,
Okay.
and also myself. I'll give this one to Pastor Moon. Do you think turning back home, giving them money and all this, or do you think black tax has affected some of the aspirations that you've had in life? that you think you could be driving a Lamborghini now, but because of black tests, you're still walking on foot.
Indeed, it has affected. As I said earlier on, that you are trying to do this, and by the time you have budgeted for your money, then a call comes from Kumusha there, and someone says this is happening. Gogo is sick, and your brother is in need of, his wife is pregnant and she needs to go and deliver a baby, and you are also supposed to bankroll someone's pregnancy, and at the end of the day. But if you don't do that, Pastor Brian Moyo, the reason why you go an extra mile to do it, to assist your brothers who are in a lesser privileged condition, is because if you don't do it, in our African culture, songs will be composed. Suppose the calamity also befalls you. Songs will be composed, they will sing your name, they will make sure they also strip you naked, and all these other things. And statements will also come up, they will pop up, and they will say, if only he had not, if only he had assisted his brother, then this calamity would not have befallen. So sometimes you're also forced to go an extra mile. But truly speaking, this one, it has some negative effects upon,
Maybe not just to kill on. All right, I see this.
I wanted to respond to what he's saying. In as much as helping others might be good, we cannot help the whole world at the same at one particular point. I feel that at some point it then becomes a burden to someone.
Okay, let me
so you guys need to tread carefully, because what you are simply saying, or rather, maybe let me say to Junior, aren't there any advantages? Aren't there any benefits for this black tax? That because you are the one, don't you feel good when your brother goes to school, because you've been the one paying school fees because your parents can't do it? Doesn't that make you feel good?
Makes you feel good. There is a Ndebele proverbs that says ukuzala ikuzimbela. Like when a parent says to you Nyabonga, then they tema you, something like that. It makes you feel good. It comes with blessings. It teaches you how to budget, for instance, as opposed to spending your money willy-nilly. To teach you to be more responsible, taking care of your family. So that's good in a way. But I'd also like to tap on the negative side of it, to say that black tax is okay maybe when you're still single, like some of us, and there is no wife, there is no other person, it's you and the family. But now you think of the other person on the other side whom you're going to marry, and they're now that element to say that you now need to support your family, the one you're building, the one you're coming from, and the one that you're maybe now joining. So that becomes tricky. When maybe they come with their black tax and you've got your black tax as well, it becomes tricky now. It will make maybe the relationship unbearable over time. So black tax is something that needs to be dealt with, if possible, before one maybe gets into the marriage zone on its own, because it's a different zone on its own.
So you're simply saying we married people have black tax squared.
Twice.
It's twice or thrice. But friends, we also need to be able to come to a point like what we were saying, that generally for us Africans, this is something that we have carried and we have heard from the time we were born, and those that were born before us, and things like that. And I think what is needed, because I don't think we have said it's something wrong. We accept it's a good thing to do. But what is needed is a balance of how we then do it and how we then apply it. So what I want us to do in the remaining few minutes before we end this show is we also want to help a viewer out there. To say, I want you to understand and see if we have biblical principles on what God says about such things of assisting and helping our families, our relatives, and all. And when we have come to that point, we also want to come back and say, let's give each other practical ways of how to carry this burden of the black tax. So I want us to look at 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 4 and verse 8. I think I'll give that one to the theologian. Pastor Munyi, please take it up and give us a bit of explanation on that before we hand over to Lishman.
First Timothy chapter 5, verse 4, it says, but if any widow has children or grandchildren, let them first learn to show piety at home and to repay their parents, for this is good and acceptable before God. Verse 8, it says, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Another version will say is worse than an infidel. Now, Pastor Moyo, you would see that the concept of koinonia, koinonia is the community, the concept of the koinonia always, it says, mine is for us. right? You look at when God called Abraham, he called him to become a blessing even to his immediate family members. That's when he was leaving his father's land, he had also to take Lot, his brother's child. You also look at Leviticus chapter 25. Then you notice something. If perhaps I sold my things, right? I sold my things, then I was in abject poverty. My brother had to come to redeem that which I had sold.
The kinsman's
so
redeemer.
I cannot live on my own.
Yes.
There is a Shona statement which says, Gunwe rimwe, haritswanyi inda, or chara chimwe, hachitswanyi inda, or rume rimwe, harikombichuru. On your own, you can't do anything, right? Maybe I may be financially stable, but I would need that brother, I would need that that nephew, I would need that uncle at some point in time. So definitely the Bible, what it says is also of benefit to me. If I hand out to them, if I look after them, I also have to balance these things. But tomorrow they are of benefit to me, and they are also blessings that are added upon my life.
Lishman.
Okay, I wanted to add on to say that as Christians, if you look at it from the perspective of the Bible, it preaches thanksgiving throughout. Our parents have done a lot of sacrifices for us.
Right.
And I feel that we ought also to demonstrate the love, not the obligation.
Yeah.
Take note of that.
Yes.
Out of love, we should demonstrate that we also care for them by letting them experience some of the benefits that they cannot on their own experience. So in as much as we might say this is black text, I also feel that it is sort of it should be an expression of love to give back to our parents, to give back to those who are in need. Because here the Bible says, if we don't do that, we completely lose the faith.
All right, maybe let me give Shanae and Junior to give us a few points before we wrap it up.
Well, they say you can't love without giving. You can give without loving, but you can't love without giving, right? So even though I said all that negative stuff about black text, what I think is that our parents went through so much to take us to where we are now. I feel like the reason why we can actually sit here and have a discussion on whether or not we should give back or not is because we have been given the ability to have the kind of intellect that we have. So imagine that some parents out there could not afford or would not go out there to look for school fees to send some other child to school, right? Some people actually decided, this is too hard for me, I can't do it, let me just...
They committed suicide.
Right?
Yeah.
Or some of them just decided to dump the child somewhere. Or they went to the UK and never came back. You know, but your parents stuck around. And through the thick and thin, if you can't make your money be enough, imagine how they did it with 3 or 4 children. Right? So
you guys are getting too emotional. Junior.
I want to address the issue of saying how to break up the cycle now. Okay, because this thing has been going on and maybe it might go on in future. There's a Chinese proverb that says, you give a poor man fish and you feed him for a day. But you teach him how to fish and you give him an occupation that will feed him for a lifetime. To say that we need to come to that point, maybe as black people, as young professionals, to say, this is what I'm going to do back. I'm not going to be paying money or giving money back to them each and every month, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start maybe some business for them, which they're going to take care of on their own, such that they will take care of that and they'll be having enough money to cater for their expenses and any other things that will come. So that's one. You might think of starting businesses, you might think of buying maybe something, maybe some shop, some cars or some investment, saving as well for ourselves. Because you think of the fact that in future, we might be having our kids complain maybe about us. So you need to start saving as well after doing some budgeting to be more responsible. Those are some of the things that we might want to do so as to evade this black text cycle.
Wow, friends, I wish we had time on our side and we would go on and on and on. So friends, we need to come to a point where we wrap up. Unfortunately, our time is almost up. So what I'm going to do in the last 2 minutes, we need to share it up very quickly. We have all agreed that black text, well, as much as it is called black text, we don't think we are being taxed. We are merely becoming abantu amongst abantu. We're merely becoming people amongst other people. But how it has been carried out is what has been the problem or the challenge. So I want all of us here, I'm going to give you guys, within the last 2 minutes, we're sharing seconds here, to give 2 people advice here. One, you are giving the parents and the relatives advice on how best they can deal with this, so that it doesn't become a burden to the young person who is also trying to build his own family. Right. And number 2, you're also giving the young person the advice on how best they can handle their finances, not spending more than what they are earning, learning to live within their means, and all those things. So I'm going to start with Lishman. You have two people to advise in the coming 5 seconds. Two people to advise, the family and the young person.
Okay, what I would advise is that let us not allow our cultures to stop us from communicating our financial circumstances, because sometimes people bring things to us because they think we are able, yet sometimes we are not. So let us have a culture of trying to communicate, to say, look guys, this is what I can manage to do, this I cannot manage to do.
Pastor Munye.
Okay, to the parents, I would want to say, Pastor Moyo, that sometimes you also need to understand your children when they are going through economic turbulence. Then to the children, I would want to say, blood is thicker than water, number one. Then number two, continuation is culturally and biblically good. And Obadiah, verse 11 to up to 12 would say, if you gaze and look at your brother during the times of his calamity, then it's a crime before God. You need to continue doing good to your brother, even if it does not make sense. Thank you.
Shanae.
Okay, when we were children, we used to do childish things. But now that we are adults, we need to put away the childish things. So when we were children, we were the ones who were taken care of. When we were children, we used to pout and complain and whatnot. Now that we are adults, this is what adulting is. You take care of your parents, you take care of your community, and you also make sure that you make provision for your future. So, to talk to the youth, before we get married, let's make sure that our parents are settled and are happy. And then when we get married, let's not forget our families. And to the parents, don't make it an obligation. Don't make the children feel burdened or may end up doing things that they're not supposed to be doing just so that they can support you, because sometimes they might actually not have the money.
Julian.
Okay. To both the parents and maybe the youth, failing to plan is planning to fail. So as young people, we need to plan, save, even if it's 5%, 10% of our income, we need to save it for the future. As well as to the parents, they need to plan for their retirement as well. Children are not there to be milked at some point along the way. In as much as they appreciate having been raised, the parents need to let them off the hook at a certain point in time. So they need to plan, they need to budget, they need to, that African mentality to say that we don't plan for the future. We need to start rectifying it, such that 2 generations from now will be set off.
Wow. Friends, there you have it. I think the discussion, in a nutshell, these are the things that I've come out with. The number one, we really need to take care of our parents. We really need to take care of our families. Number two, parents, it's not an obligation that we take care of you. So stop sending bills and bills and bills to our homes. But we will do something. We definitely have to do something. And so finally, let me advise a young person who is out there and say to you, put out a plan, just like what Junior Mapuma has said. Put out a plan on how you are going to be able to effect and ensure that your family is well taken care of. We don't want to see you driving a Bugatti when your mother and father are living in a porous home. We don't want to see you living in a huge mansion when back at home your parent is still going around begging for salt. And I've seen those things happening in our community. So the idea we are putting across as a team in this conversation is to say, make sure that you don't become an unbeliever by not taking care of your own, beginning with those that are in the household. And also at the same time, parents, help us so that we can be able to do this right. Please know that things are a bit hard currently in this country, and we need your help also to be able to do this. Dear friends, remember to shift up to God, shift out to your fellow men, and shift in within yourself. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and even write down some comments and questions that you might have. God bless you, and see you next time.